this has helped me to kind of do that in a way.
Yeah.
I back in the late '80s, early '90s, I was doing It's Casual, and I was trying to do Big Monster Briefing Room. That didn't happen. And It's Casual, the way it was, where it was, and the way it was done, we pretty much used up all of our creative talent at that point.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, they didn't do a good job of archiving it.
Oh, oh
I
man.
have some, I have some of it, and some of the best of it. And there are some pieces on the internet, on YouTube, that people, thanks to, there's a girl named Sandra Prill that we talk about a lot. She was a girl that came on and would sing on the shows.
Oh wow.
And the thing was, she was not a good singer, but her mom, you know, pushed her to be a star. Excuse me, pushed her to be a star, and as a result, she became kind of this big in joke thing in the Tampa Bay area. And later, she became an internet sensation on YouTube. People are trying to find her now, and she has gone underground. She does not want to talk about those days anymore, because
Oh
evidently she found out, that everybody's making fun of her. And that's a sad thing.
yeah.
Um, but I yeah, I came back, and I've always loved art. Um, and my love of art was intensified in 2002, the year I met my wife. My mother passed away a month before I met my wife. I like to think my mother had something to do with us coming together. Um, but I took a trip to Europe that summer, that August, and I went to Italy and France, and saw some of the greatest art in the world. And it just kind of like, wow, this is great. This is wonderful. I love this so much. Why haven't I known about this? I mean, really known about this until now. And when you walk through the Louvre, and see all the wonderful, beautiful art there, not just the Mona Lisa, which is what everybody goes to, but all of it, Um, and then you realize that there are galleries all over the world that have collections like that. Maybe not as big, but there are Monets all around the world. There are Renoirs all around the world.
Yeah.
There are Van Goghs all around the world. You just got to go find them, and that's what I decided I wanted to do. So over the past 20 years, 22 years, I've gone to some of the world's greatest museums, and seen their collections and photographed them. Actually, I photograph museums that allow it, that let me. I actually photographed half of the Van Gogh Museum until they told me, "Hey, you can't do that."
Oh goodness.
They almost threw me out.
Oh no.
And the Frick in New York definitely makes a big deal about, you do not photograph anything, because I definitely almost got thrown out when I was trying to do an over the shoulder selfie of me with a Rembrandt.
Oh no.
The girl came right up to me. I mean, it was the only time they really came right up to me, and she was like really stern, like, "Hey, you can't do that." So I was like, "Oh, geez, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to get one."
I'll
So,
delete it immediately.
well, no, I didn't. I still have. Um, if anyone wants it, a copy of it, I can send it to you. Um, again, I was hoping to maybe do a website, about these collections, where you could see them. I don't know. I don't know. Again, I know that I went to the Ringling Museum about 2 weeks ago, and I'm still photographing museums, because I just like to do it, and I like to say I've got that collection in my grasp. Um, and yeah, I'm a huge fan of French art, especially the Impressionists, and I started collecting in Shenzhen, where I lived. There is a painting village
Oh
called
wow.
Dafan Painting Village. It's in the Buji district, and there's like 400 different artists and even little mini factories there that recreate art. I
Wow.
mean, some of them are original artists. They do their own original artwork and sell it. But a lot of them make their money just by copying art.
Oh,
And
wow.
some of them are okay, and some of them are really good. And I made friends with some of the guys that were really good. Because again, I think I have a good eye. I've seen the real ones, so I mean, I think I have a pretty good eye for good art. And I started collecting back in 2015, almost 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And before I knew it, and what I was doing was I was showing it to my kids, my English kids. You know, we would talk about art, and I would go, okay, I got some canvases I want to show you. You know, and I'd show them the Mona Lisa and some of the others. And then I got the idea after I collected about 20 or 30 canvases. Why don't I create an exhibition of the world's greatest art? Wouldn't that be great to tour it around so that people who can't see art, can't go to all the museums, can go to one place and they've got the Mona Lisa and Blue Boy and Whistler's Mother all in the same place.
Yeah.
And that's where the Iconic Art Project was born.
That's so cool.
And I, in a golf bag, I brought over. I had to have some of them sent because they were so big. I couldn't fit them in the golf bag. The canvases. Some of them I had to have taped up, rolled up, and sent.
Yeah.
The golf bag. I brought about 100 canvases over, and about 20 of them I had to have shipped.
Oh, wow.
Because Gustav Klimt's The Kiss is a humongous painting. It's huge. The Starry, not Starry Night, Night Watch by Rembrandt is a very, very big canvas. Lady Liberty, Leading the People, very big canvas. So again, I had to have these rolled up and taped and shipped. And these guys do it for very cheaply, or they used to. Now everything's getting more expensive.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I have like 130 canvases now. Almost 40 of them are framed appropriately. I was thinking about moving the camera here so you can see I've got one right next to me here.
Oh.
But you guys have seen pictures on my Facebook. When I get one framed, I usually take a picture with it there at the shop before I bring it home. And I test marketed it this past year in Orlando here, and in Lake City, Florida, my hometown where I grew up. And it was very well received. It was very successful. Didn't make much money off of it, because I said, look, I'll do this for free. I'll let you have this for free because we're just testing it. I ended up making money from Lake City though, because I did shows. I did my Sinatra show and my Roy Orbison show for them. I sold some of my books. I've written a couple of novels, and I sold books there. And we had small canvases made, 8x10s, and of the art, and those sold like hotcakes. I had to order more.
Oh,
So
no.
I ended up making a couple of $1,000 on that, even though I didn't charge them for the exhibition.
That's great.
So that helped me to frame some more art. went right back into the hobby.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping this year that I'll actually make some money just renting the exhibition out to people, and then I'll schlep it to wherever it needs to go. And I really would like to find a permanent home for it, though, so I don't have to move it around. Just find someplace that says, hey, we want this art exhibition for our town, for an attraction here. This will get people to come in. And that's my big hope now. Because every time you move it, you take a chance that you're going to damage something. I'm already finding little nicks and little dings in the frames, from when I had the 2 times that I took it out this past year. So, I got to be careful. I have to be really, really careful. And again, I can't monitor it when it's at the location. They have to do that, and I have to really carefully inspect the exhibition when I pull it out to take it back. So this is something I learned.
Yeah, that's what's always scary about, putting your artwork on display or in galleries or whatever. You have to rely upon other people to take good care of it.
Correct. So yeah, and again, if I'm charging for it, they're going to be like, "Well, you would charge me money for it. You can fix it." Well, no, that wasn't the agreement. The agreement was you take responsibility for it when it's in your care.
Yeah,
So we'll see.
exactly.
We'll see how it goes from here.
That's so neat. Like it's so neat that you're doing that. That's wonderful. Like I think that, art should be brought more to the forefront, like in schools, because like, kids need art. Like we need
Yeah,
artwork.
we're living in an age now where AI is coming in,
Uh,
and we need to cling to the classic art more than ever now. We can't
yeah,
forget it. I mean, this is
exactly.
our history. Museums are places of history. They're not places of art. They're places of history. That's why some of them are not art museums. They're science museums. They're this museum. They're this museum. It's a place of history.
Yeah.
So, um, so yeah, that's one of my selling points. Is yeah, you need to start busing in kids from schools and stuff and showing them, hey, this is the stuff. This is it. This
Yeah.
is the art from our forefathers. That shaped us. This tells a story of their time and their past.
Yeah, like my favorite artist would have to be Leonardo da Vinci, because he was not only an artist but an inventor, and I respect that. Like that's incredible.
In currently in my iconic art project, we have the Vitruvian Man, which was his measurement chart, and it's actually a nod to his maths teacher, Vitruvius. And we also had, and that's the other thing is every piece of art has a great story behind it. Usually, um, I also have a portrait of an old man,
Oh wow.
which he did,
Yeah.
and they for the longest time they thought it was a self portrait, but then historians were like, well, no, he wouldn't have been this old at this time, so this is probably his father or his uncle.
Yeah.
So for the longest time though, they thought it was him, and it's not. And then I have the Mona Lisa. Now, in my possession, not framed yet.
Oh.
Oh, I'm sorry, and Ginevra da Vinci, which is the only Da Vinci that's in America right now. It's in the Washington D.C. Museum, the National Gallery in Washington D.C. But I have all four of his full color female portraits
Oh wow.
that are the surviving four. I
Oh.
have the lady with the ermine, and I have it's just called Portrait of a Lady. Uh, and I actually tried to find that one when I was in Paris, the last time I was in Paris, and unfortunately, it was being loaned out.
Oh.
It wasn't where it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
It was being loaned out to another museum. So, and I missed Whistler's Mother too, which was supposed to be at the Orsay. Which, by the way, I like the Orsay better than I like the Louvre. It is wow. As far as my taste and my likes, it really is a better art museum. The Orsay is wonderful. They have Olympia there. They have a lot of the French Impressionists. They have uh, um, Van Gogh's The Bridge, Starry Night with the Bridge.
Oh wow.
They've got a couple of his really good self portraits. That was the thing. I went to the Van Gogh Museum in Amsterdam, and his stuff that's in there is, yeah, they got the sunflowers and they got the potato eaters, but it's like they got the worst self portraits that he ever did of himself.
Oh no.
The best portraits of him in there are by other artists. Yeah, Paul Gauguin's the painter of sunflowers is there, and there was an Australian artist that painted him, which
Yeah.
I have a copy of it hanging right next to my bed here. Um, it's a beautiful portrait of him, uh, and there's also, I don't think it's there, but Toulouse-Lautrec did like a pencil and um, pastel sketch of him. And I have a copy of that. So I have a lot of the self-portraits or a lot of the portraits of Vincent by other artists, the most notable ones.
Oh, wow. That's so neat.
They're not all framed though. But yeah, I tried to think of those kind of things when I was pulling this all together. Okay, well, I've
Yeah.
got this one. What would be a good companion piece to this one? Okay,
Yeah.
it's easy with Blue Boy. You go with Pinky, which is his companion piece at the Huntington Gallery in California. They've been sitting across the room from each other for decades. And again, even though they're painted by different artists, they look like they were painted, they were painted in the same time and the same style. So they look perfect together. So
Yeah.
yeah, I got Pinky. Unfortunately, she's too big for me to frame right now.
No.
Too expensive. I got Blue Boy done. He cost me an arm and a leg. But
wow.
I want to get Pinky done to go with him. Again, I got the 4 of the Da Vinci girls, the angels, I call them. And there is a painting that I have that's framed, Napoleon Crossing the Alps by David. And it's very dramatic with him rearing up on his white steed with a red cape flowing in the wind. This is what Napoleon wanted. You can tell. He said, "You got to paint it like this." But then there's another one done by artist Paul DeRoche, which is just as large, and it shows a very cold Napoleon on a donkey going over the mountain. And that's probably what it was really like. So I got those 2, and I'm hoping to put them together someday. So.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah. And that's just called Bonaparte Crossing the Alps, I think. One of them's Napoleon Crossing the Alps, the other was Bonaparte Crossing the Alps.
Yeah, that's so neat.
Pieces.
Yeah, I've been to the St. Louis Art Museum, and they have a few very interesting pieces there. And then I've been to the Chicago Art Museum, and
Chicago's a great museum. It really is.
It is. That was like the first time that I got to see like some of the greats. And my jaw dropped when I seen Andy Warhol paintings that were there. And I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, see, I spent so much time photographing the classic art there that I didn't get to see all of the modern art. So I didn't even get to see one of the ones that I used to have, which was Pablo Picasso's Old Man with a Guitar.
Yeah.
But I have since sold that. And but I need to get a new copy of it. Because I wasn't happy with the canvas that I got. It wasn't perfect. And again, I want it to look as real, as perfect as possible.
Yeah.
Gallery quality, they say.
Yeah, most definitely. Like where I work, we have a frame shop, and we frame canvases, and we do all that stuff. So yeah, I do not blame you on that.
So when I came back to America, the pandemic hit. I didn't know what I was going to do. I was working as a shoe salesman for Dillard's. I had to go back to my roots, sales, and got laid off. I started to paint again after 35 years. I picked up brushes and oils again and started painting myself after 35 years. My daughter, in her room, watching all the negative media, went through a depression phase. She's now suffering from social anxiety and depression because of what happened then. She's much better now. She's doing much better. It was a strange time. And a friend of mine from high school, John Bird, said, I think you would like this girl, Renee Jaworski. You got to meet her. That's a pretty good impression of John Bird, actually. So I introduced myself, and I basically said, look, I'm an entertainer. I did comedy. I do voices. She goes, oh, I got to introduce you to Dennis Tardon. And she introduced me to Dennis Tardon, and they had come up with a plan for me to come on and start doing some of my voices and characters on his show, Tardon Tonight, Not Quite. Wow. And as you know, the rest was history. We gravitated to what was the B the B Network or whatever it was. And we all hated that name. We all complained about it. It was like, well, let's call it Cosmos.
Cosmos, yes.
Cosmos Creative. Because we wanted more creativity in our own work. We wanted more creativity in what we did.
Yeah.
And that should be a given. You know, when you're creating something, when you're making something, yeah, you want your own creative control. You know, and so we brought back It's Casual from the 80s, 90s, and we've done over 100 shows on that. I finally got to do Big Monster Briefing Room. Our first show was Day of the Triffids, which I think we did like a 25-minute show, and now it's hard to keep under an hour, you know.
Yeah.
And we've done like 115 shows on Big Monster Briefing Room because I just love that one so much, and I really know what the fan base is out there, and I know once it latches hold, once it finds Big Monster Briefing Room, that yeah, it's going to be. I mean, we already have one video of our King Kong versus Godzilla episode has hit over 5,000 viewers.
Oh wow, that's awesome. That's wonderful.
Yeah, so I know what it is. It's just people searching King Kong versus. Oh, this is a review show of that. Oh, let me take a look, and then they see that it's slides and not the movie. Like, oh man, they probably leave. But I got my 5,000. I don't care.
at least it got viewed.
So yeah, I'm having so much fun doing those. I'll do 2 of them in a week if I don't have any guests for It's Casual. I'm doing like 6-7 shows a week now. We're doing 2 with Carrie Harrison, who's one of those guys that used to call up my show and harass me doing voices. He still lives in Tampa, but he does LA radio. He does a live uplink to LA radio every week, and now we're doing a show with him on Monday. Manny Zamora, I met him through Dennis Tardon and Renee, and my heart went out to him when he lost his beloved.
Yeah.
And I said, well, why don't you create a character? Why don't you come on Big Monster Briefing Room? And we're doing he liked the show. We'd already talked about the show a couple of times before I made the offer. Yeah. And he came up with Sergeant Havoc. And we had such a great time. I think it was The Food of the Gods was the episode we were doing, which was kind of a stinker 1970s H.G. Wells shtick. And he was so good that we decided to bring him on at least once a month. And this past month, I said, let's make you full-time. Let's go ahead and make you full-time. We're full-time when we do the 2 guys and a gal talking movies together. Let's make Big Monster Briefing Room full-time for you. And and so he's a full-timer now. So
I was like working with him. he's a lot
of fun. He's a very talented guy himself. You know, if you haven't seen any of his comic books, he's a very talented artist. And we made a joke about Renee, you know, wanting to be with Bigfoot and Loch Ness Monster, and man, he whips out like 2 pages of comic book and shares it with us, and they're like, "Oh my dude, this is awesome!"
Yeah.
So we're so happy to have him aboard.
Yeah, and I need to have you and him on my Belongs to the Shadows whenever that comes back.
Okay.
At some point, like I think that would be really cool to have you both on there because, you know.
Well, I write about vampires, so if you ever do a vampire show,
do another vampire.
Working on the sequel to the Vampire Regulars, and it has a story in it called The Trial of the Werewolf. Where vampires and werewolves have to work together, and also the tale of the Chinese blood sirens. So you know, write what you know. So I took it to historic China, and created a story of these blood sirens being unearthed. Unfortunately, at the time where they're going through the big push forward, where people are already dying from hunger and starvation. So. The problem is the book is too short still. I have to write another story to pad it out. So it's 175 pages now.
Oh, wow.
But the publisher's very pleased with what he's read so far.
Yeah, I'll have to do an episode about vampires. Not that I'm trying to plug my show. I don't want to plug my shows on your episode, but like I think the first episode coming back with Belongs to the Shadows, I'm going to be talking about Mad Hatters and how they earned that title. Yes.
Well, since we're plugging shows, I feel I have to point out that I'm also a co-host on No Icing on Thursday evenings. Big Monster Briefing. That's Sandy D's show.
Yes, most definitely. She does.
And improv night at Saturday at 6 normally with Panorea, and Manny's usually there.
Yeah.
And some of our other friends, CJ is usually there. CJ Sunshine.
He always fun, that's for sure.
Renee's usually there. So yeah. So we have a lot of fun improvising on that.
A group of a bunch of great people. Like there's so many good shows on Cosmos Creative Television. I haven't been on there for a while because I have been busy with my day job.
It's hard to juggle, a half a dozen shows when you're trying to be a father or a mother, and you got family, you got work to do, and responsibilities for work. It's not easy. It isn't. That's a lot to juggle. So usually what happens is you don't sleep.
Yeah.
Like MM Farwell and Renee and I get about 6 hours of sleep.
Pretty much. Like my schedule is insane. I go in, like I never know if I'm going in for truck at 12 midnight or if I'm going in at 7 in the morning, because like we never know when the truck's gonna get there and if anybody's gonna unload it. It's just like so no sleep.
So I guess you just sleep a little bit when you're waiting for the truck.
I get a nap, baby. Maybe if I'm lucky, I'll get a nap.
That's a phone alarm. The other thing is Carrie Harrison, the shows. Hopefully, I'll be doing more of my characters for the LA audience through Carrie Harrison shows. We just tried out Frog on his radio show Friday, and immediately started getting calls from people or responses from people saying, was that guy for real? You need to tell that guy, blah, 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 whatever it was, he was wrong about, I was making some joke about something and it was a wrong fact. I mean, it was just something that was wrong.
Yeah.
And they pointed it out. So I'm like, oh, that is so cool that we actually got people complaining about him already.
Reviews of any sort, I guess, are good.
No such thing as bad press.
No.
If you caught somebody's ear, that's all that matters.
Yes. That's the way I figure it.
So I'm looking forward to a lot of fun with that.
Yeah. I've seen 1.5 of his episodes. Like I've tried to tune in when I'm not busy. But he's really great host. I like watching him.
He's very charming and he's incredibly intelligent, which is very intimidating for people that work with him. Because we got to try to keep up with him. But he's just so damn intelligent. This was very intimidating to me when I was on the show host in Tampa back in '89, But he's very nice and very welcoming. Again, at that time, he had invited me to a party at his house. He invited me onto a radio station where we did improv. But again, I was very kind of intimidated by how intelligent he is. I mean, I like to think of myself as being a well-read person, a worldly person. But man, he's just like, IQ is way up there. He's just very,
I get that way.
Very sharp.
I get that way sometimes with certain people. I'm like, oh no. oh no.
Oh gosh, can I keep up with this? Can I keep up with this?
I feel like a deer in the headlights sometimes. I'm like, okay, well, we're just gonna go with it.
I think it was Brian Regan who does the bit about going to parties and then you say something but you want to pull it back into your mouth. No.
Exactly.
I like art. No, don't tell them that.
Yep. I've been there.
That's how we feel sometimes. It's true.
I've been there, and I feel like the older I get, the more and the more I am like a deer in the headlights about some things. I'm like, I don't know what I'm talking about anymore.
Well, yeah.
Pretty
What
much.
else can you do, you know?
Like I'm good. I'll just go with the flow.
What he said.
Uh, I was like,
So, but yeah, I'm doing the best I can just to be entertaining. That's my thing. I just want to make people happy. I want to make people smile. There's not enough of that today, as far as I'm concerned, and there needs to be. You
yeah,
know.
like, and like I told my last guest on the show, I said, just because it's a docuseries doesn't mean that it has to be like deep topics and like traumatic or serious. We can talk about lighter topics. Like it doesn't have to be heavy all the time.
Yeah.
um so
Well, yeah, you just straightforward said you wanted to interview me, so yeah, I just figured I'd roll with it and tell you whatever stories I could to tell you kind of what shaped me into where I am now.
yeah, like I never knew that about like Renee and Dennis. Like I knew, obviously you all had met at some point, but I didn't know how
That's
long
how it all
before
started. Yeah.
before I
And
came
I
into
was
the
just telling
picture.
Mandy the other day, I have not heard from Dennis in the longest time. I should reach out to him. I should say, hey, what's going on? I haven't seen you in a while. I was watching his 1 minute videos that he was doing on TikTok.
Yeah.
Those were good. And they say he's still doing his interview show,
Mhm.
but I'm not seeing any links or anything to it. So I'm gonna have to put the branch back out and say, hey, what's going on? How are you? I haven't heard from you in a while.
Yeah. Yeah, Dennis is he's a very interesting individual. Like he's been at this for quite a while, and
Yeah.
nothing but respect for him and respect for you and Renee, like everybody. Like, it's an incredible group of people that I have stumbled into.
I saw some early stuff that he had done at Texas, working for the news station he was working for. And again, very reminiscent of the stuff that I was doing around the same time in Tampa.
Yeah.
Again, I saw a lot of similarities there. He was trying to do the same thing, I think, that I was trying to do. And again, like you said, very entertaining, very innovative. They didn't get it there.
No.
Unfortunately for him, he didn't
Oh.
he didn't get the response that he had hoped for. There.
Oh no.
I wish I could still find some of that stuff that I was doing. We were doing sketches for the Comedy Corner. We called ourselves the Comedy Corner Players, and I did a sketch where I played Belushi in hell.
Oh,
Uh, and
that's interesting.
and yeah, and I was doing some other voices, and we did a Ralph Cramden, Ed Norton thing, and the only thing I was able to get from that time was a sketch called Fat Man, which we shot live at the Comedy Corner on stage in front of a live audience, and I was able to get a copy of that, and I still have that, and I cherish that because
Yeah.
that's what I have to remember that time with those people, you know. And it's on YouTube somewhere on my channel somewhere. You can find it. Fat Man.
I
And
will
it's me
I
being
will
fat,
put a
like
link.
50 pounds heavier.
That's cool. I will put a link to like your to Cosmos and like well, we'll upload this on Cosmos, but I'll put a link to all your shows in the description whenever I release this episode.
Appreciate it.
So, is there any advice that you have for people who want to get into like voice acting, get into acting, or any advice that you have for people who are getting into that?
As Disney said, just keep moving forward. Don't let your self doubt. Don't let people talk you out of it.
Yeah.
Just keep moving forward. That's the best that I can, and do it with what you've got if you have to. You don't have to have a big studio or a big budget to create. This I've proven this. time and time again with what I've created here for Cosmos. I sometimes, I just think, wow, you've created 115 episodes of a show that's
It's
on social media. It can be seen by the world. And all you spent was just a few dollars on costume pieces, basically, and time. I put a lot of time into Big Monster Briefing Room because
yeah,
every movie has to be screenshot and turned into a PowerPoint presentation. That's me. I got to do that. So,
yeah,
yeah, if you add up all the hours that I spent in front of the computer for this, man, am I owed a lot. But,
yeah.
but again, the proof is in the pudding. I mean, it's a great looking show.
Mhm.
Um, we have fun. You can tell we have fun doing it. I love to call ourselves our group the Cliff Notes of horror and sci-fi. Because if you want to get a quick 1 hour synopsis of a movie, and see everything in the movie,
There you
we
go.
got it. We got it. We're here. And again, we did that on nothing. No. I mean, it's just time. The time we put into it. Renee and Manny and myself. Yeah, we're owed, but who knows? Somebody might buy it someday. Who
You
knows?
never know. You never know.
If
Netflix can
for
pick
some
it up.
reason it takes off, and starts getting hits, somebody might buy it.
Yeah, there you go.
Say,
Most
okay, take it off of
definitely.
YouTube, make it ours. Let's sell it.
Yep. Oh, hopefully that'll happen someday. Like, it could. Uh, well,
Hopefully before I
I will most definitely put the links to your shows and everything in the description when I release
die.
this. I thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate it.
You
You've had a
with
very interesting
your
life
shows. Yeah.
journey. And well, to the audience, until next time, love, hugs, and blessings. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you, Rory, for being here.